Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome. This is Semen Retention Talk. It's my new weekly live series I'll be doing, here on YouTube and Instagram. And so, just, be chatting about semen retention, sexual energy, various things, various aspects of sexual kung fu. So I'll be doing this every Thursday around this time. So you can tune in the future. Just a few updates. I did my first vlog this week, so I'll be uploading that on my YouTube. People always ask me more about what I do in my personal life, so I'm gonna start making a vlog, and I'll be uploading that tomorrow on YouTube, so check that out. And one more thing, Spiritual Bad Boys is open for registration right now. Spiritual Bad Boys is an online community. Myself and my friend Nikula Das founded, and we get together every week. We have a live call, a live training. So we're teaching principles of success, business, just general success in life, teaching sexual kung fu, sexual practices, internal energy practices. So Spiritual Bad Boys is a place to connect with like-minded men from around the world and do some training in these practices. So check out that. There's a link in my Instagram bio, and there's a link in my recent YouTube videos as well. So we're closing registration for that on Saturday, so check that out. So yeah, I'm going to talk about semen retention. So I first got into this. It's been almost 7 years ago now. So I was studying into a lot of things about. I was learning yoga, I was learning meditation, all these ancient practices, and I read a book by Montauk Chia called The Multi-Orgasmic Man, and he explains having orgasms without ejaculating, which was kind of a mind-blowing concept for me at the time. And the book kind of talks about how after you ejaculate, you lose some energy, basically. Like athletes, don't perform as well after they ejaculate. So people like Muhammad Ali, these athletes, there's this famous tennis player who do this as well. They'd go like weeks without ejaculating, and because they have more energy, they have higher hormonal levels, and they can perform at their best. So this is what kind of planted the seed for me to get into semen retention. And then I started getting deep into this stuff and found out that there's kind of a lot to it, because just retaining your semen, it's hard to do. Like I first tried doing this like almost 10 years ago. I heard about brahmacharya. I was like, okay, I just don't ejaculate and that's it. But after a few days, it's like, oh, I'm really horny. What do I do with all these sexual urges? So eventually I discovered that there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And for me, the right way involves transmuting that sexual energy, because when you're just retaining your semen, you're building up all this energy, your desire increases, your sex drive increases, it's inevitable. So without a new pattern, a new pathway for that energy to flow in, instead you're just going to go back to your old habits and release it the same way you used to. So having a daily meditation practice became very important for me, and doing qigong practices, which is working with the internal energies of the internal energy channels of the body, moving this energy throughout the body so that you can keep this essence of the semen moving, because the problem comes when all this energy is building in your genitals and it gets stuck, because it's not going anywhere. But once you're keeping that energy fluid, through having a practice, an energetic practice, then you get the highest benefits of semen retention. And it's absolutely incredible. Like the energy levels, that I started having when I started retaining my semen just blew me away, and it was like, no wonder I was so tired and like feeling run down and unmotivated all the time. I was just depleting my life force. And this was in like my earlier mid-20s when I started semen retention. And I have more energy now than I did when I was like 18, and I'm 31 now. So it's just absolutely incredible. And I've become passionate about sharing this stuff because I see how men around the world, are becoming weaker. We're becoming more feminine. And a lot of it is due to men are addicted to porn. They're sitting in front of their computers fapping to porn all day, draining their life force. And you can't be successful, you can't be motivated and driven when you're throwing your life force into a tissue every day, basically, or maybe an old crusty sock or whatever, So semen retention is very invaluable, and it's completely changed my life. So yeah, Think and Grow Rich. A lot of people talk about, and I read the book now, of course. So yeah, but the thing was that Napoleon Hill talked about sex transmutation, but he didn't actually say how to do it. And it was like kind of in my journey, like I was hearing about tantric sex and like people talk about this stuff, but there wasn't many people actually teaching practical ways to do it. So like, well, how the hell does this stuff work? So I went on this years and years of like looking into searching the internet, searching for teachers, and finally I found the methods to actually do this. And it's really not as hard as you would think it might be to learn multiple non-ejaculatory orgasms. It's really not that difficult. You just have to know what you're doing, basically. Okay, what's my view and experience on dry fasting? I think fasting's great. I do intermittent fasting, so I eat during like a 5 to 6 hour window during the day. Intermittent fasting is incredible. I love it. I haven't done a lot. It's been a while since I've done like a full-on fast, like days without eating. I've been wanting to do it again. I'm just like super busy and I can't be like running my business when I'm not eating. I get really spaced out and so like I want to do kind of like a retreat or something and fast for a couple days. So, but I know that there's lots of benefits from it. I have several friends who are all about it. So, okay, if I had to summarize sexual transmutation to its most basic form, how do you explain it? I mean, it's as simple as sexual energy, right? The sex drive. Like, where is that drive coming from, though? It really is the question here. We often think it's just this animal impulse, but if it's just an animal impulse to reproduce ourselves, why do humans have sexual desire 24/7? We're the only species that would have sex constantly. Every other animal only has sex during certain times of the year. So there's obviously something very special about the sex drive of humans. So I think that it's a higher drive. It's a higher spiritual drive. It's this drive to complete ourselves, a drive to connect with the world, to create, and rebirth. But to answer the question, how to summarize sex transmutation? So you have this sexual energy, this sexual desire, this raw, kind of crude sexual, it's this drive, it's this impulse, right? This creative energy. And so most of us in this day and age, we see it as this purely, kind of animalistic physical expression. Like, okay, I just, go find someone, hump them and blow my load. And that's the expression of sexual energy. It's been very distorted for us. So the transmutation of sexual energy is bringing that raw animal drive. You change that, you redirect that impulse, right? So you redirect it to connect to the higher centers of the body. So this very much in line with our bioenergetic system, right? Like, this may sound like metaphysical and out there to some people, but for me, it's like it's energetic science. Like, I experience the energy flowing through my meridians. I can tangibly feel it because of the practices that I've done that awaken that within me. So when you open up this energy system in the body, you can take that sexual impulse, the sexual drive, and raise it up to the higher centers. Instead of exploding it out your penis, you make a new channel for it. You bring it upwards, you connect it with your heart, connect it with love, connect it with unconditional love, gratitude, respect. When sexual energy is combined with the heart energy, it's incredibly powerful. And then you can bring it up to the higher center, to your pineal gland, your third eye center. And then you connect your sexual energy with this cosmic experience of universal orgasm. And it's absolutely incredible. So I know I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but that's what sexual transmutation is to me. So eating, if you're going to be busy, is better than fasting. For me, I need calories in my body to stay grounded. Like, I'm doing, hours of intense energetic practice every day. I'm running a lot of energy through my body, and I need fats and things like that to basically insulate my body to handle all this energy I'm running. If I go long periods of time without eating, I get very, very spaced out, very ungrounded, and I go on this acid trip out to the cosmos, which is fun if that's what I want to do. But being a human in the physical world, running a business and trying to, pay the bills and everything is not very practical. So that's why I don't fast a lot. Conscious redirection. Basically, yeah, you instead of using that energy to have sex, you use it to do something else, something a little more productive, perhaps, like build a business or, make money or complete your spiritual destiny, whatever. So redirecting the sexual impulse, that's sexual transmutation. But the question is, how do you do it, right? And that's what I teach in my courses and things like that. How long did you practice before having a non-ejaculatory full body orgasm? Good question. I mean, I started experiencing it fairly quickly. I just didn't realize that I was experiencing it because as men, we get so obsessed with this peak orgasm where we're draining our energy. That tiredness and contentness that follows the depletion of energy, we feel that as this sort of completion. And so when we don't have that sort of completion, then we don't feel like we've actually had an orgasm. So what I eventually realized is, oh shit, this peak state of incredible pleasure and bliss and orgasmic pulsation in my body, that's an orgasm. because and it doesn't end in this drainage, so there's no like, oh, I'm satisfied, I'm tired, I couldn't continue. It's like, no, I want more and more. That's what the full body orgasm is like. So um it really didn't take me that long to experience it, honestly, maybe a couple of months. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to type them out. I'm just answering some questions right now. What are your thoughts about women with the IUD? So I personally do not like well, I mean, okay. Let me rephrase this. I don't think that unnatural birth control is a great idea. Like the pill or like putting this foreign object in your body. They tend to cause issues. Various issues. Sometimes, like the body may reject this contraption you've put in it. Birth control pill is like absolutely horrific. It completely destroys women's hormonal systems. Guys, birth control is really not that difficult, especially if you're practicing semen retention. That's been my birth control. That and having awareness of my partner's cycle. Like a woman only gets pregnant when she's ovulating, and you take into account how long the semen can survive in the womb, basically. And on top of that, you can tell if a woman's ovulating or not based on the consistency of her vaginal fluid. So you just have to know what you're doing, basically. Birth control is not that difficult, guys. Like, I've been using semen retention as birth control for years, no kids. But I do recommend also using condoms and things like that, especially like during the ovulation period, because I like to be careful, basically. But I don't think that like IUDs and birth control, like hormone changing things, are a good thing. Is there any chance that ejaculation control becomes a habit and I can't ejaculate when I want to? I would say very unlikely, because you pretty much always have that choice. Like, for example, if you want to ejaculate, usually you can just tighten your pelvic floor really hard, and that increases your sensitivity in your penis, and it's going to lead to a genital orgasm. So I've never, I mean, some men do have issues with like delayed ejaculation. Like some men have trouble ejaculating, but it's usually not a result of this work. It's usually other factors. So I wouldn't be worried about it for sure. Do you think a 13-year-old should do semen retention? It feels kind of counterproductive being this horny all the time with raging hormones. Yeah, you've got a lot of sexual energy to manage. So I would say don't obsess over it at your age for sure. But once you hit your 20s, and it depends. Like if you're, masturbating to porn every day is not a good thing at any age. So, Okay. Seen some other questions here. Do you know anything about androsterone? Yes, androsterone is a pheromone. It's the attraction pheromone, right? And when you're practicing semen retention, your levels of androsterone increase. And this is one of the reasons I feel that practicing semen retention makes men more attractive. Like, so women just subconsciously, they're just like, there's something about this guy, I don't know what it is, but I'm getting moist, things like that. So definitely, yeah, androsterone it's the attraction pheromone, basically. Does your erection always go down after the big draw technique? Well, if you do it successfully, then yes, your erection goes down because you've drawn the sexual energy out of it. You've drawn the arousal out. So then your erection subsides because the energy is not there anymore, that intense sexual or energy. You've moved it elsewhere. So you just re-stimulate until you get erection back. What do you feel about hypersexually energy? I'm not sure what you mean by that. You need to rephrase that. Sometimes my sexual energy gets so intense and I feel I need to release it. Any tips? Have an internal practice, meditating. For me, it's Qigong. There's a specific practice called testicle breathing where you you breathe the energy from your genitals, you breathe that sexual energy upward in the body. So you express it in a different way than, releasing it through sex. So for me, having an internal practice is crucial when you're doing semen retention, or else it just builds up to this point that you really can't hold on to anymore. And, whether it releases in a wet dream or consciously, it happens. Adam Dukoff, thanks, brother. Every man on the planet should learn sexual kung fu. Absolutely. No matter what I do, I fap. What's a good physical thing to do in the moment instead of waste my essence? Go to the gym, work out, put that energy into something else. Do 100 push-ups, go run a couple miles. Do something physical, exercise your body instead of, masturbating it out. Basically, do some qigong, do some breath work, do some yoga. Nice. Ghoul in the Woods says, for the record, Big J, I had blue balls one night, then did your microcosmic orbit meditation with intention, and the energy flowed back to normal. Thanks. Namaste. Yeah, that's excellent. So that's the purpose. The microcosmic orbit is so crucial when you're doing semen retention. The microcosmic orbit is this main energy channel, goes up the back, down the front. It's this loop. Working the microcosmic orbit moves your sexual energy out of your genitals, distributes it to the rest of the body. You get charged up with these hormones, charge up all your glands with this sexual energy, and it prevents blue balls, because blue balls is just all this energy getting stuck in the genitals. So when you move it throughout the body via the microcosmic orbit, no more blue balls. Okay, so when having sex, do you stop and draw energy up for full body orgasms, or do you continue and it happens automatically? There's many different ways to do it, and many different ways that I do it currently. I'm actually less technique oriented in my current sexual practice. It kind of comes to the point where you're just like, oh, I'm just going to move my mind here, and boom, the energy goes there. So it's just this constant awareness of your body and of the energy movement during sex just becomes it becomes natural after a while. So for me personally, usually I'm not, there's also this dynamic of like active thrusting, lovemaking, and then stopping and just kind of consciously exchanging, kind of meditating together. With my partner, we just exchange our energy. So it's these periods of like yin and yang where we're, actively thrusting and then stopping and just resting and exchanging. Because when you're just thrusting away during sex, it feels good for a while, but after a little bit, it just numbs your body. Like it's just too much friction after a while. So stopping and being more slow, more aware is one of the keys to having these intense full body orgasm states. And then after a while of that, you get back into more active dynamic thrusting. Then it feels really, really good again. And it builds up the energy. So I don't have to stop, to move the energy throughout my body for full body orgasm. I usually only stop if I'm like getting really, really, really hot. Like if I kept continuing, I would ejaculate. So yeah, you don't have to stop to have full body orgasms. I'm able to hold out around 70 to 75%, but can't get the energy to move. Favorite meditation? Microcosmic orbit. Did you start with your own or with your partner? Good question. I started learning these practices on my own. I think it's much easier to get to know your own sexual energy, your own arousal response when you're by yourself. Because when you're with a partner, you have all this added excitement, of them and their body and their stimulation, and it becomes hard to discern, like, oh, what's my energy, what's theirs, So it's much easier to learn the sexual kung fu techniques on your own. And then when you go with a partner, you've already mastered it, and you don't have to like be like, okay, babe, hold on, I'm gonna like look up and breathe in a certain way and do these weird things. You're just able to do that like discreetly. Basically, it becomes natural. So I think that the solo training is very important. What are the benefits of Zhanzhuan? I'm glad. I love this practice. So Zhanzhuan is a qigong practice. I call it power standing, or power stance. It's basically a standing meditation practice. You'll see me do this on some of my Instagram videos, some YouTube videos I've done on this. This is my bread and butter daily practice, Zhanzhuan. Basically, what you do is you hold these postures. So you stand in the qigong stance, and you hold your arms in these various postures, for long periods of time. I stand for about 30 to 40 minutes where I'm just holding this posture. It's weird. It's in the beginning, like I didn't understand this practice for a little while, but what it does is it trains you to hold these postures with energy. So instead of like holding yourself up with muscles, because when your arms are up here, after a little while, your muscles start burning. You can't hold them up anymore. So you have to release the muscular tension. And so you're more using your structure to hold your body up. And then the energy channels start to open. You start to get this like electrical liquid electricity lightning flowing through your body. It becomes very electrical, very powerful. So basically it teaches you to integrate your full body, helps you to release these patterns of tension, release asymmetrical distortions in the body, like where one side's way stronger than the other, things like that. There's so many benefits on many levels. It trains your mind, it trains your body, it strengthens your tendons, your fascia tissue, helps you to distribute energy throughout your body. So it's an incredible practice. And if you want to learn like Tai Chi or these internal martial arts, Jianzhuang's always like, traditionally the masters would have to hold these stances for like, 1 or 2 years before their teacher would teach them any of the martial arts forms, because this is the foundation of everything, is the principles of that. So yeah, as you can tell, I love this practice. Is it a good way to transmute? I mean, it's not directly working with your sexual energy, but you can do like sexual energy practices. Sometimes I do testicle breathing, standing in my Jianzhuang postures, so, you can use it for that for sure. "66 days, no nut." Awesome, brother. Okay, so just answering some questions. Okay, when I do the build up energy meditation, can I do it sitting down? Are you talking about the Dan Tian meditation I have on my YouTube? Yeah, I do it sitting down for sure. That's the main way I do that practice. What's your other business? Sexual Kung Fu is my main business. This is what I'm doing full time for a living. So I don't really have an other business right now. Okay, here's a good question. Hey, Johnathan, is there ever a time after a long period of retention where you intentionally ejaculate because you think it would be more healthy than retaining it for longer? Yes. So this is something I've been looking into for years and years. I've studied with several teachers of many traditions. Some of them say you should never ejaculate, ever, no matter what, right? And those teachers seem very rigid. They seem very stuck in certain ways. And I have other teachers who say you should always ejaculate after this certain amount of time, or else you develop stagnant patterns, and it can cause trouble. And what I've seen is that going more than 3 months, after about the 2 to 3 months in of retention, your testosterone actually starts to drop, and it's like your hormones kind of change at that point. So to me, there seems to be this sweet spot, between like 1 to 2 months of holding your semen and then releasing it and sort of resetting your hormonal system. You do not experience depletion at that point. So, this is my own experience with it, and I encourage you to play with what feels right for you. Okay, I'm 32 and I struggle with premature ejaculation. I found your microcosmic orbit video and have started practicing that. I don't have a partner, but can still tell I'm hypersensitive. Any advice? Check out my video on YouTube, how to do Kegels properly. Basically, one of the main causes of premature ejaculation, of course, there's many causes, but what I've seen to be the main cause is hypertension in the pelvic floor, meaning that most men, you'll notice when your penis is stimulated, you have this involuntary contraction in response in your pelvic floor. It's like doing a Kegel, every time your penis is touched. This pushes you closer to the point of ejaculation, because squeezing the pelvic floor during sex actually, it makes your penis more sensitive, and it pushes you towards ejaculatory orgasm. So one of the most effective training techniques to overcome premature ejaculation is to learn to keep your pelvic floor relaxed during sex. And one of the best ways to do this is reverse Kegels, which is like, it's like you're pushing out a poop, basically. You take a deep breath, and this pushing out, and you'll feel your pelvic floor muscles stretch out. So work with that, and that's going to be very valuable. Have you ever experienced full body orgasm by yourself, or you needed to have sex with a girl to experience full body orgasm? I've experienced it by myself. I will say that the energy is it's much fierier. It's much more fiery. You know, as a man, our sexual energy is very volatile. So when you're just cultivating your own sexual energy, it's a bit more edgy. You know, whereas with my partner, her yin really balances me out, and I get into I would say the most pleasurable full body orgasm states have been with my partner. But you can still do it on your own. Are you Irish because you look like it? No, I'm not Irish. I do have a lot of European ancestry, though. I'm reading Taoist Secrets of Love. Montauk talks about meditation in the morning, watching your chi flow through you. Can you say something like that? I mean, meditating in the morning, it's great. I meditate every morning. I can't speak too much on Montauk Chi's methods of meditation because I have different methods, but I think it's great to meditate every day and start to be aware of your energy in your body and where it's going. I have 2 months without ejaculating and I feel a lot of energy thanks to your videos. Awesome, brother. Keep it going. Okay, with a wet dream, do you lose much sexual energy, if at all? It depends. There seems to be different types of wet dreams. I talk about this a lot, on my YouTube channel. You're the best person to tell if it's draining your energy. Like, do you feel drained? Do you feel like you had a regular ejaculatory orgasm after your wet dream, or do you not? So only you can really answer that question. But in my experience, it can be both. It can be there's the wet dreams where you have a sexual dream, and you have an orgasm and just full on ejaculation. You wake up, I'm covered in my own semen, but there's also seems to be this sort of dreamless emissions where you don't actually experience the orgasm, at least not consciously, but you wake up and I soaked my bed sheets. So personally, I never, I used to have a lot. Wet dreams were a bit of an issue for me in my first, years of practicing retention, and typically I didn't feel drained from them. So I stopped worrying about it so much because it seems to be inevitable for, some people after a period of time. What are your views on circumcision? I think that circumcision is a very bizarre practice, I'm circumcised and I don't have any resentment about it. I'm not oh, how could they have done this to me? It's whatever, I don't have that skin on my penis. Nothing I can do about it, whatever. I still experience plenty of pleasure through sex, but the act of cutting a child's genitals is very strange to me. So yeah, I think that circumcision is quite bizarre. What's your thoughts on dopamine and how could one strengthen their dopamine receptors? Well, I don't know about strengthening the receptors, but kind of resetting the receptors, because when, looking at porn totally fucks with your dopamine levels. Spending time on social media, things here we are, but anything that's kind of addictive gives you that instant reward, scrolling through, Instagram, whatever, things like that, trigger your dopamine releases. So spending some time away from technology, obviously porn, things like that, spending some time in nature helps you to reset your dopamine levels, basically. Adam says Zhan Zhuan makes you feel extremely confident. Yeah. So Adam took a 6-week course and crushed it. He's doing amazing things with the work, and it does. You stand in these postures and you start to feel very powerful because you are powerful. You're connected to you get your energy flow going. It feels amazing. Did you learn Qigong under a master, or did you learn on your own? I first started learning from books and videos, and I was I know that there's something I'm not missing. I'm not really feeling the energy. So I studied with, I went and studied with Michael Wynn, first of all. And I loved that. But then I started studying with other teachers and other teachers. And then I got obsessed about like really finding teachers who actually understood it. Because what I realized is that a lot of people are teaching Qigong these internal practices, but they actually have no idea like what it's actually about, how to actually get your energy activated, because there is certain mechanics that you need to work with to actually, and when you get it, like when you're doing Qigong the right way, you know, because you feel the energy. It feels like, you know, electricity running through your body. It's very tangible. So yeah, I've studied with several teachers over the years, and I'm continuing to study with teachers. You know, I'm studying Bagua, which is a Chinese internal martial art, studying Tai Chi, Xing Yi Chuan, you know, still studying Qigong and various other things. So yeah, I'm still learning still. Okay, what are your thoughts on Montauk Chia's technique for decreasing penis sensitivity called sharpening the knife? I forget what exactly Montauk Chia's sharpening the knife exercises are, but there's a lot of great exercises for basically working out your penis. You know, you can increase your size, increase your girth, increase your hardness. You know, techniques like jelqing, stretching are really great. You know, there's other practices I've found for decreasing sensitivity that I'm teaching as well. Would you say working out is better than nothing to get the tension you get from semen retention to circulate or move? Yeah, definitely. Physical exercise is really, really important when you're doing semen retention. So yeah, if you're not doing, you know, meditation or Qigong or whatever, when you're doing semen retention, at least work out, because you're building up all this energy from your sexual energy, and, you know, it fills you with desire. So doing some physical activity is going to help you move that energy and burn off that edge. So definitely work out for sure. I go to the gym several times a week. Do you think semen retention can help me get a girlfriend? I mean, it can help. You know, like I said, it increases your testosterone levels, increases your androsterone, as we're talking about. It makes you magnetic. You know, this sexual energy. Most men have never held a strong sexual charge in their bodies because they're ejaculating every day. They're addicted to porn. They're not holding on to this. They're not building a true sexual charge. So once you do that, once you start to build up the sexual energy, you become very magnetic. You become more masculine and therefore more attractive to the opposite pole, you know, the feminine. All right, guys, I'm gonna answer one or two more questions, then I gotta jump off. What are some great supplements? It depends what your goals are, you know, but I'm guessing you're interested in like increasing sexual energy and things like that. So pine pollen is really great. I'm taking that. Shilajit, which is this organic resin that comes from the Himalayas. Goji berries are amazing. Moringa leaf, it has like tons of nutrients in it. It's basically nature's multivitamin. So those are some great supplements. Maca root. Can too much sex deplete a man? If you're ejaculating, yes. You know, too much ejaculation depletes your energy. What would you advise for somebody who has been experiencing a flatline for more than 2 months? Do Qigong. You know, follow my Qigong playlist on YouTube. Start to get your energy moving. Okay, guys, thanks for joining me. Just wrapping it up. Registration for Spiritual Bad Boys is closing Saturday. You know, again, that's an online community. We train once a week. I'm teaching sexual kung fu exercises. My friend Nakula Das is teaching success principles. So you're going to learn how to be a master of your sexual energy and to create the life of your dreams, basically. Of those postures you said, I was talking about Jian Zhuan, which is a Qigong practice. You can look up my YouTube video on standing meditation and you'll find more about that. All right, guys, I will see you soon. Take it easy.